the opening hours of February 28, 2026, Iran, Israel, and the United States moved from simmering escalation to open warfare after coordinated U.S.-Israeli strikes began at 1:15 a.m. Eastern, approximately 6:15 UTC, according to U.S. Central Command. Those first hours mattered because they combined large-scale conventional strikes with a leadership decapitation attempt, and they triggered immediate cross-border retaliation. Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu publicly framed the opening as a decisive move against Iran's security apparatus and nuclear trajectory, while Reuters and the Associated Press reported that Ali Khamenei was killed, something later described as confirmed by Iranian state media. Within the same first-day window, Iran launched missiles and drones not only toward Israel, but also toward multiple regional states hosting U.S. facilities or linked targets, including Bahrain, Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, while air travel and energy markets immediately reacted to fears around Gulf shipping. Diplomatically, the opening day produced an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council, where United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres warned the strikes could ignite an uncontrollable chain of escalation, and where UN briefings emphasized the UN Charter's limits on the use of force. Meanwhile, International Atomic Energy Agency Director General Rafael Mariano Grossi said the agency was monitoring nuclear safety risks and initially reported no indications of damage to certain Iranian nuclear facilities and no abnormal radiation readings in neighboring countries. Critical context amid public claims about nuclear targets. Day one reporting quickly centered on a leadership strike in Tehran. Reuters reported Khamenei was killed and that Iranian state media announced his death early the next day. AP similarly described Iranian state media confirmation and framed it as a seismic leadership shock with immediate succession implications. But leadership targeting is also where misinformation thrives. On day one, some details were asserted before they were verifiable, including casualty totals and who exactly was killed alongside Khamenei. The highest confidence element is the state media confirmation described by Reuters and AP. Many additional claims, other relatives, exact chain of command, exact location intel, should be treated as reported, not independently verified. Day one also produced one of the most sensitive disputed claims, a report of a strike hitting a girls' school in Minab. Reuters cited a local prosecutor via state media, reporting 85 killed, and explicitly said it could not independently confirm. AP later described imagery and reporting around the incident as the war's humanitarian toll began to climb. Removing leaders can change decision velocity and internal cohesion, but it does not automatically end a regime or stop escalation, especially when multiple armed institutions remain. Iran's day one retaliation was rapid and geographically wide. Reuters reported hundreds of missiles and drones launched in response, and described strikes or attempted strikes affecting Israel and multiple other countries. AP similarly described a region-wide counter-assault alongside continued exchanges into the night. On the Israeli home front, the IDF's day one feed shows the cadence. Repeated public warnings, instructions to move into protected spaces, and repeated mentions that air defense is not hermetic, meaning some impacts can get through even when many interceptions succeed. The same feed also describes follow-on Israeli strikes to thwart imminent launches by hitting launcher crews and air defense systems. Iran's legal and political framing also arrived early. In an on-the-record interview, Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Esmail Baghai argued Iran had the right to defend itself under international law and said locations providing support to attackers could become targets, a statement that helps explain why day one retaliation did not stay limited to Israel alone. Analysts emphasized that Iran's early choice to extend retaliation across borders is designed to force international pressure on Washington and Jerusalem by raising the cost to third countries, especially those hosting U.S. forces. That logic is repeatedly raised in early expert commentary and is consistent with the first-day pattern described in major reporting. Day one fear wasn't just about who got hit. It was about what could be blocked. Reuters reported Iran warned that the world's most important oil choke point had been closed and noted that roughly 1/5 of global oil consumption moves through it. Even the warning alone was enough to jolt markets and flight routes. Wars become global when they grab global infrastructure. On day one, airlines canceled or rerouted flights across the Middle East, and the market began pricing in immediate risk to energy flows and insurance. It's crucial to be honest about what's not fully knowable on day one. Closed can mean anything from a formal declaration to a de facto halt due to mines/missiles to commercial shipping refusing risk. Your safest phrasing is, Iran signaled a closure. Corridor was at severe risk. Experts looking at the broader strategic picture argued Europe and Asia would face immediate exposure through energy security and trade disruptions, even if they were not participants in the opening strikes. One reason the economic dimension became a day one storyline, not a later week storyline. Within hours, the UN system moved. UN Geneva's live coverage and reporting says the UN Security Council meeting was scheduled for 4 p.m. Eastern on February 28th and quotes Guterres warning that military action risked triggering a chain of events nobody could control. At the same time, UN briefings stressed the legal frame. The UN Charter prohibits the threat or use of force against a state's territorial integrity or political independence, and UN messaging called for immediate de-escalation and a return to negotiations. This became the backbone of many states' first-day public statements. On the nuclear safety question, one of the most emotionally loaded issues on day one, the IAEA response is your anchor. The agency said it was monitoring events closely, activated its Incident Response Center, and initially stated there were no indications of damage to certain nuclear facilities, including Bushehr and the Tehran research reactor, and no elevated radiation detected in neighboring countries. That's not a guarantee about every site. It's simply what the watchdog could confirm early. Expert commentary emphasizes why day one legality arguments mattered. Once leaders publicly justify force as prevention or self-defense, the conflict becomes a precedent fight. Other states begin positioning themselves around the implications, not just the battlefield.
As of today, the conflict remains active and unpredictable. Military forces across the region are on high alert, and both sides appear prepared for further escalation. The next phase of this conflict could determine whether the region moves toward de-escalation or toward a much larger war. In the next video, we'll break down the latest developments and what could happen next.